Welcome back to your daily AI news, everybody. This is episode 20. I can't believe it. This is where we work to demystify the latest advancements in artificial intelligence and explore how they're reshaping our world. The idea is to learn and have fun with us from both our mistakes and our accomplishments, and have fun in the process. Please feel free to chat with me or Rick regarding any comments or questions. And of course, you can do that live here on YouTube. You can also email us at yourdailyainews@gmail.com. I'm one of your hosts, Noah McDonough.
Hey y'all, Rick Ninja here. Glad to be back. Didn't make last week, but I'm back now.
Right on.
Ready to get started.
Okay. So let's see. Let's dive in, shall we? Episode 20.
Let's roll.
Let's see if we can see this all right.
Yeah. And crazy week for AI, guys.
Yeah, big time. So let's see. We got AI boom hits the brakes a little bit. The Guardian reports that the AI gold rush is showing a few cracks. OpenAI's rollout fumbled. Investors are a bit jittery. And MIT finds that most Gen AI projects don't move the revenue needle. It looks a lot like the dot-com era. Everyone's slapping AI on their pitch deck and valuations are skyrocketing. And yet very few have real business models. Some of the similarities between the dot-com craze and bubble, hype, overinvestment, infrastructure race, and coming shakeout. Differences, AI adoption is faster. Monetization paths are clearer, and compute is the scarce resource, not eyeballs. And then some of the takeaways, like the dot-com boom, most players will crash, but the survivors will define the next 2 decades. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that at all.
No, I mean, I feel like that's a natural unfolding. Just like I would imagine, I don't know for a fact that if probably yes, the Industrial Revolution was very similar in a sense. And then we have the dot-com boom, which was exponentially bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And now we have AI, which is in a way like a little bit more, not a little bit maybe, but a lot more exponentially, even more than the dot-com boom. So I do think that's just a natural development, but let's see how that goes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see some stats that are adjusted for inflation, over time. Like, I'm sure it's orders of magnitude for AI compared to dot-com, but it'd be interesting still to see. I should have brought that with me to the show.
Hey, let's throw it to either ChatGPT or I'm really enjoying that Z.AI.
Okay. You done some work on that?
A little bit, like not that much though. I felt like they improved a lot, but excuse me, just because they were just it seemed like they were showing up in a sense, like just starting to be more visible in the market. So I felt like they brought a lot of things. But I checked it today, nothing new yet, at least on my trials, at least on that Z.AI. I don't know why I'm bringing that one, but mainly because it's very good in defining the numbers and elaborating kind of let's put like a group of slides, and it could elaborate a group of slides with those numbers. Maybe if you ask by the end of within 10 minutes, you have all the numbers there. You have a full presentation.
Yeah. Right.
Showing the
you just need to make sure to go back and vet everything, right?
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Right on. What do you got for us?
All right, so this one went viral, and I do think they made a very good strategy at it. So there is this term here. I'm showing you guys LM Arena, and there was this viral content generation or editor named Nano Banana. So they were even smart on the choosing of the name, right? So comic. And it's pretty efficient, but it's not the first time. I feel like sometimes I'm very skeptical of everyone here, but because it seems like just more of what we had already. So I still remember when the first AI, and I don't remember which tool, when the first AI that would edit images came out, there would be lots of videos like Photoshop is dead, right? Not that Photoshop is static in a sense, but in a sense they are not following up, I would guess. But I'm not using Photoshop, so I'd like to hear more about it. Now I'm on Pixelmator, and even Pixelmator though, which I wish to see more AI tools, I'm not seeing. But basically, Nano Banana, that's the topic that I want to bring here. So Nano Banana basically is an image generator, and it's a very good image generator. I was not able to do what have been achieved, what I've seen. For example, let me see if I can add an image here. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I have one image. Okay, so let's go with this one right here. So add an eagle in the shoulder of the knight. I agree. And one thing that happened is that, so this is very good, right? So I talk about this a lot. It shows the timing, the progress time. So I love this progress time. One thing that is happening here is that we have two assistants. So we do have a comparable kind of tool. Another thing is that is free. So anyone can go and use it. There is another website that it's kind of, and I saw that this is kind of .ai. It became sort of while it loads over here, 36 seconds, I believe we're going to be able to see how many seconds. So no, I'm going to change the image. Let me see if I can do that. There you go. I changed it. I think it was quick enough. So what's been happening is that we do have those websites that, those groups maybe, that simply get a popular name and they build kind of a business out of that popular name. So there's a full website here named nanobanana.ai, since that was the term that was very popularized. And you have extremely simple AI tools for our day, which is image to image. And is everything good there?
Yeah. I was just checking your microphone.
Okay. So let me know if the sound is good or not.
You're fine.
Awesome. And so it's just the basic tools for AI generation. So we have image to image, text to image, and that's it. So they basically made use, and there is nothing incredible here. They basically made use of, so for example, here they have this real-time beach synthesis. And this beach does not even seem that, synthesis does not even seem photorealistic. So like you do have this advertisement and a price, right? So you do have the pricing right here, which is, if I go monthly, which is just the average price. But it delivered nothing great. But they made use of the name Nano Banana. So if I go back there, let me go over here. Okay. So if I go back to the LM Arena, and this is something that's been happening because so it's Nano Banana, but it's within LM Arena. So how normal people like us
hey, Macarena,
right? So it basically has this capacity to add things or remove things from image. So here I added the eagle here on the knight, right? So this one is pretty good. The other one have done basically nothing. Sometimes I also feel that when it gets very popular, it gets a, let me say left is better in this image here. I feel like once it gets too good and once it popularizes, somehow it loses the efficiency, or I don't know if it's because everyone is using it. I'm not sure what's going on there. So
yeah, I also wonder on what you're saying too, like when they're pumping out updates and stuff, it seems like a lot of times, in some respects, you'd think it'd get faster.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed some of the newer versions are anything but faster.
No, what I think is the most interesting thing in the public is that once they make those huge announcements, and at least I believe that's the stage we're at.
Everybody dives in.
Not only that, but not much happens. I feel like that was very big with ChatGPT 5. You had a
that they didn't change much.
Exactly. So the speed it feels like it changes incrementally. So it's like I'm regularly using it, and oh, it seems to be a little bit faster. So it seems to be more of an incremental progress than a like, oh, ChatGPT 6, so it's gonna be great. Not really though. One example that I thought was very interesting was Grok. I was not bringing Grok here, but Grok image, that was very impressive. The speed, it's comparable to Midjourney, and they're just engaging in the image and video generation. So and it's already very very impressive. So yeah, so Nano Banana, that was a big one, and basically is image editing through natural language. I do feel like this is very powerful, and let's see how that unfolds. Like if they have those services for free, it's definitely a challenge for Photoshop. I do not know how Photoshop is nowadays with the AI. I do know that Pixelmator, which is the one that I use, even though it's very good, it's not following up with AI. But I feel like Apple has more serious problems going on and more other problems right now. Not sure if it's going to be big, their event, in either next week or in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that was it on Nano Banana.
Right on.
That's a funny name.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. So next up on the headline front, the Financial Times reports that I'm going to butcher these names probably. Nikkei, and this is a cool name though, Asahi Shimbun, two of Japan's biggest publishers, are suing Perplexity AI for billions of dollars. At the core, really, it's unlicensed scraping of their content and spreading misinformation. And this isn't just about Japan. If the courts start siding with publishers, it could change how every AI model in the world is trained. This matters because it's a frontline test of whether fair use covers training data, or if AI companies will be forced into costly licensing deals. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Rick?
No, but my next topic is also about suing.
Okay. Yeah, there's lots of legality stuff going on. It's funny to see the ebb and flow, right? Like some weeks is totally one thing, and then it'll shift over to others. So
And I mean, unless we're, oops. All right, so what I said there, my mic was off. But we are close enough. I think I might have been heard. So basically, I said that I also have a swing topic. But what I think is interesting is that like sometimes we can understand, sometimes we cannot even understand the broadness of the topic, right? So Japan suing Perplexity
for billions. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, and then Perplexity was, we just reported recently that.
I remember you said that.
Yeah, they put a bid in for 34.5 billion for Chrome.
Chrome, exactly.
Wild stuff. I didn't even know there was that much money out there.
Right? Who's gonna get that Chrome though? That's.
Yeah,
I mean, I imagine about that amount of money. I think that's kind of Bill Gates surpassed that amount. No.
I don't know. I'm not really tracking it. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'd be happy with a few million.
I know. I remember because I studied. I did enjoy a little bit of the industry history and other histories as well. And I still remember that, like, if I'm not mistaken, that was a while ago. Like, you take the Andrew Carnegie, which is kind of the Man of Steel, I think was the name.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So I think it's on the hundreds of billions, if I'm not mistaken. And
when you adjust for
exactly
for inflation.
Adjusted, yeah, hundreds of billions. And then after him, the only one who was richest was Rockefeller. So yeah, very very interesting. So we have a comment there. So this is interesting because
while these AI programs are learning, there will be miscommunication or inaccurate info. But what is the legally okay to be incorrect? Let me reread that. I feel like I didn't do that right. This is interesting because while these AI programs are learning, there will be miscommunication or inaccurate info.
Mm-hmm.
But what is legally okay to be incorrect? Yeah. Thanks for submitting that.
What?
And I don't know really enough about the process of AI learning to understand what the ramifications are in terms of like copyright stuff. You know, like there's learning, but then there's also producing from what it learns and how it deals with that. I don't know the specifics there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the important thing is that there is a disclaimer. So if you go at least on ChatGPT, I don't remember Perplexity, Gemini, and the other ones, they do have the disclaimer. Some of our answers can be wrong, something those lines.
Yeah.
So since they deal with so many topics, right, that just makes sense.
And I've had a few cases where, uh, you know, I'll throw like an image that might be a logo or something like that and say, hey, can we modify this to do A, B, and C? And it says, no, I can't touch that. It violates
Yep.
our copyright rules.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So it does look for that stuff. I just don't know how accurate.
Exactly. No, that is correct. I mean, those people have been trying this forever. I remember this conversation where people were just trying, how far could you go, like trying something that would be illegal, but how could you say like, oh, I'm trying to save this elderly person, and then you would bring something that would not be legal. You know what I mean? So people would try those things, and I believe I don't remember right now if it was Google or ChatGPT. I don't remember. I remember I watched, that was a while ago, that they improved that. I think it was ChatGPT. They improved that. So now they had a better, and I mean, that's the natural progress of it, right? While they are progressing with the technology, I feel like those things are going to be there as well, right? All right. And we have here, so like how much can be incorrect, and does the AI program have retractions like in newspapers? Yes, disclaimers. So you can point, that's interesting because, and that was kind of the past stage. Nowadays, most things they're getting better, but you could point, oh, this is wrong. And then Grok, ChatGPT, or whichever, it would answer, oh, you were correct, that's wrong. And then it would bring other information. So that's there, the problems, the incorrectness. But I feel like those are problems that they can be solved. Hard to tell if they're going to be completely solved, right? Yeah. So talking about suing others, let's get you a next one. And I have it here. Elon Musk's XAI sues Apple and OpenAI, alleging anti-competitive collusion. And this is important. And I'd like to, since I brought Apple here, I'd like to bring one thing that I said that can kind of stagnate progress, which is exactly what happened with Apple. And I want to share, just remember if possible, but I'm going to already get the link here. I want to share a video that is excellent about one person who explains what happened with Apple. And basically, Apple went from, in a sense, a technological company to a financial company. So once Tim Cook took over, he restructured Apple so that the emphasis were centered in economical elements and not on technological elements. And that makes a huge difference. Well, to give a very simple example, of course, if you have a development and progress of the product, then you have a good slice of the market, then you're going to have profit, right? But that does not mean that it's profit-centered in a way. But then if you are economically centered, financially centered, then you use means which will not necessarily progress the technology. I'm going to make sure I separate that because this is key for technology overall. Like if, let's say, ChatGPT starts just doing podcasts and visiting others, and they feel free to visit us over here. But let's say they just start focusing on their marketing, since they have a big slice of the market already and a good amount of technology. Let's say if they put just the emphasis on just that, like publicity, instead of emphasizing the technological development, then you have that stagnation, right? But I don't think AI it's a little bit different because the technology is a little bit different. You have more bigger players. And moving on here, I want to make sure I bring that because that was something very, and I think you asked as well, Noah, about a little bit why was that happening with Apple, and that was the reason it became kind of financially centered instead of technology centered. An example is that basically Steve Jobs would have once per week, at least, visiting the technological teams or the software or the hardware teams. Therefore, Tim Cook goes one per month if he does so. That's what is on the very well elaborated doc there. I'm gonna share it later. So basically, what we have here, this is very short, and I just gonna give kind of a overall view of it. So it's Elon Musk's X and XAI file lawsuit against Apple and OpenAI on Monday, alleging that the two companies are colluding to stifle competition. So basically what's happening is that so let's go to their dialogue. So this is a remarkable claim, and this is Sam Altman, given what I have heard, alleged that Elon does to manipulate X. I think this is old Neil. I think we read this. X to benefit himself and his own companies and harm his competitors and people he doesn't like. So that's the accusation of the Sam Altman. And then we have Apple is behaving in a manner that makes it impossible for any AI company besides OpenAI to reach number one in the App Store, which is an unequivocal antitrust violation. XAI will take immediate legal action. Do you have a point there?
I don't know. It sounds like gossip around high school or something. Like, is this really what we're talking about?
Right, in a sense, yeah. But this is tough. I see your point, but this is tough because I see why Elon Musk is attached to this. Because if you go enough to X and see the posts, you're gonna see that Grok, it's becoming like number one in many countries of download. Therefore, not necessarily where maybe Apple and and ChatGPT is kind of creating that alliance, right? So you do have those situations, right? Like, and I understand kind of if you do not have the means, because this is a software, in a sense, AI, in a sense, it's not necessarily, but in a sense, it works more like as the software. And Elon Musk does not have the hardware to send that the AI tool. So that's the means for him to reach the public. Yeah. So it's a very short. It's on TechCrunch, but this became big news. But that's basically what's centered at.
Right on. All right. Next one we've got here. Wired reports a Stanford study that 16% job loss for 22 to 25-year-olds in AI vulnerable fields. For young workers, AI is like being a bit tossed into the ocean. The waves are powerful and the currents are shifting fast, and many are just learning how to swim. Older workers may have, a little bit more going for them in the sense of networks, experience, and stability. But young people, they're kind of wading straight into the surf, without a life jacket there. So that's kind of why this study matters. If you don't teach people how to, read the water and skill up with AI, we risk a whole generation getting kind of pulled in, sort of left high and dry there, at least at the entry level side. But this matters because AI, it's a tide that's not coming; it's already here, and the youngest are sort of feeling the pull first. It's weird, I guess, because I'm an old guy. I'm always thinking about me, not so much so I thought it was the older workforce that was getting more affected by AI, but there's an argument from the data that may be more towards people just starting their careers or starting in the job force, maybe not career. Yeah. Any thoughts there, Rick?
Yeah, no, I feel like this is natural. I think we talked a lot about this, and this is something very important to be talked about. I remember I read, I don't remember if it was last time we were here together. I really don't remember, but I remember we talked about this, right? So this is a natural motion anytime of course, new technology can take over some task, people will definitely use that technology for such task. I feel like that's a very, very natural motion. Now, what we talked and I brought here also from Stanford is that element that there should have attention and infrastructure to absorb this workforce, right? Or to direct this workforce to different directions. And this, there's nothing, in a way, there's nothing necessarily new on the kind of this sort of where are all the jobs kind of news. This has been around. It seems like it's always a hook from uh, either newspaper or whichever who is bringing news, right? This is always there. So I strong defend that element of having structures to absorb and to train those workforces. So since that's something that it's gonna be there inevitably, it's always gonna be like this. Even if you have no revolution, technological revolution or evolution, you are gonna have such a element of is there enough work or is there not sufficient work, so on and so forth. So those things are there, right? It's nothing kind of.
Yeah, most of the jobs that were listed in that piece was customer service related stuff. So the good news is the younger generations can adapt pretty quick. So they're going to have to on that front.
Yeah,
looks like.
Yeah, and I mean, and you need structure for those things to happen, right? Like because sometimes you have such an influx. You take a good example, either Google, Facebook. You have such an influx of brains from abroad, in a sense, that you also do not create the infrastructure locally. Let's put it like this: to take that that local working force to such jobs. Funny fact: I remember, and this was in the Bay Area. I would meet a lot of people, and the funniest thing was that rarely, like 5% or less of the people who were born in the Bay Area worked in technology. Less than 5%. And basically everyone you meet works in technology. So that was interesting, very, very interesting.
Wait, say that again? Less than 5% don't work in technology?
No. So that was my impression, right? From a lot of people that I met that works in technology, less than 5% were from the Bay Area. So they all came from all over the place. Yeah, United States or outside, but they were not from the Bay Area. So it's very rare to find someone on the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, that was born on Silicon Valley. So that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. The Bay Area in general, even before the Silicon Valley, I think is always California is kind of guilty of that too.
No, but I mean, like, no, I think it makes sense, right? Like, what I mean is, like, on the technology, I don't know the other elements there, but on the technology itself, that was interesting. Because technology, I feel like it's what? Oh, wow. 30 years, huh? Was from the 90s?
For Silicon Valley, you mean?
Yeah.
And it goes back to the 60s almost. Mm-hmm. But really small, Yeah. It wasn't called Silicon Valley back then, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you could probably trace it back to, like if you look at Hewlett Packard is really sort of one of the real big ones.
Yeah. All right. I have a quick one here, if we have time.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very quick. Eventually, I might have more time to work on it. So this is Morphic. So I did not work a lot with Morphic. But I'd like to see that they are improving the technology. And this is kind of the overall technology that I want to see out there and functioning in the point that we can have long videos with narrative construction, so on and so forth. So stories have the power to shape the world. Our mission is to fuel profound narratives with advanced machine learning, turning visions into cinematic realities. So this is one thing that I would like to see working, right? So I do take them.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many tools that we want to show. Even if we threaten to show them in the next episode, we can't keep up with it all.
Exactly. And there is a bunch of tools that is just take a slice of the market, but they are just reusing other tools that are out there already. There are some that does that very well, so that's not the problem in itself. But there are some that I say, okay, so that interesting trick there, right?
Yeah, I had intentions of coming to the table today with, a little bit of touchy-feely stuff on Suno, the text to sound
Mm-hmm.
software, and I couldn't get on top of it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, those I want to work a little bit more with them. I mean, those are having incredible progress. Some of them are having incredible progress.
And they're also in the lawsuit category too.
Inevitable, I would say. That's inevitable. Yeah. So from ideation to final story, like that's exactly Copilot, and we have a few things over here. I might try that. I said I like to see that they are having some progress, because when we see over here, we do have some coming soon kind of the elements. So filmmaker serving as a production partner and crafting inspiring stories in-house. So yeah, so 3D motion, camera motion. So those are things that are out there already. I feel like, and I do like the visual here, Morphic. I do like the visual. It does seems very, and I feel like the aesthetics, if you want to work with film and things like that, aesthetics is important, right? And I did not try, like I said. They do have their pricing here. They do have a trial for free, so that's good. And then they have the other prices. It goes according to whoever needs. They do have a showcase. Most of the things that I saw in their showcase were more cartoonish things. Yeah. Tails, resources, and here they have their tools. So yeah, so like those, it's gonna happen. Like I've been saying that forever as well, but it's gonna happen. I feel like before we are in episode 40, it's gonna be there.
Episode 40.
Hey,
yeah, I can't believe we're on 20, man. That's awesome.
Hey, it goes by, man. It goes by fast.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And I left in the comments. I don't remember if the comments are saved on the.
I think it's an option, and I can't remember if I turned that on.
Okay, no. So, and by the way, like let me say over here, the video is on YouTube. Apple's greed is finally backfiring, and the channel. So it's the channel of the person here. Let me get the name. So the channel of the person seems to be like a person who was dedicated to Apple. So it's like those who really enjoy Apple and want to see Apple succeed. So the channel is like Apple Explained. So this is people who really would like to see the products of Apple succeeding. But this is an excellent video, like because I still remember, I think you made the question like, oh, why such things happen with the Apple, and his was the best like explanation that I saw there.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever felt the pain of using iTunes on a PC, it's crazy.
Excuse me. Funny fact, this week, even iTunes on Apple, that's why I laugh.
Oh, is it bad on Apple too?
So they changed.
I mean, it works all right on I haven't had issues with it on my iPhone, but.
But is that iTunes or is that Apple Music? Right? Because it's not. Then we're going to take a look on that. Because what happened is they changed. It's not iTunes anymore. It's music. Yeah. And then for you to access iTunes, you have to go through a rocket launching process to access iTunes.
I hated that all the data is stored in iTunes, whether it's music or not. That was
and it's a different password from the password that you use to enter on your computer. So it's kind of
awesome.
And that mess is there. Like if whoever wants to watch that the video on YouTube,
I'll have to check it out.
It's explained. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay, let's go here. All right, so we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're switching into what I'm calling the AI tip jar. And it's all about, tonight it is anyways, is about why you'd use projects versus just firing off chats. And in particular, I'm using Chat GPT. It's what I'm most familiar with. I'm assuming, I mean, I've used other tools, but I haven't used them as in-depth as I have in Chat GPT. I started some projects on them and quickly learning that the more you do that, the more you get married to the tool that you're using, right? So when we're talking about projects versus chats, I had some great feedback from a viewer in the last show that said, "Hey, you were talking a little bit about projects and chats, and I didn't understand anything you did because you talked so fast about it." So I figured that's great feedback. Let's go ahead and fix that problem. So a way to think about it is, let's say we're running an ice cream shop. And the project is the shop itself. That's the big picture. And then inside the shop, the subchats, as it were, are the flavors. So you got vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, and keeping them separate. You don't end up with a bunch of melted swirls together. You actually have nice, clean separation between all those flavors. Just a hyper easy way to think about it. And this isn't just fun examples. It's really how I've started using AI myself, which I've got no programming background whatsoever, but it's got me getting my feet wet into coding for my website and stuff. Instead of dumping everything into one giant chat, I'll spin up different ones for different pages and some different activities. And it should be pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. I'm going to exit out of this guy. Hopefully this, oops. Yeah, so we'll, yeah, let's pull through here. Sorry, guys. And then exit out of this guy and come over here. So when you look over to your left, usually I think what most of us do when we dive into the AI tools, we'll just start a new chat or we'll just start typing right in here. But you'll notice that there is a new project area. And you can see I've got one here for your daily AI news. And if I click on this folder, you can see all the episodes and it goes on forever. So what we'll do is we're going to create a new one here. This is going to be our ice cream shop. We're going to call this Rick's Ice Cream Shop. What happened? Right. And I'm going to go ahead and create that project. And maybe should I go full? No, I think we're good enough here. This isn't scaled for our deal. And then underneath this guy, there's a few different ways you can do this, but if I have this guy, you can always rename if you click on the three dots here. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this one vanilla. Let's see if that sticks here so it says new chat. And it says vanilla ice cream query. You can see it's already starting to summarize some things there and make some assumptions. And then if I just go back to the project for the ice cream shop, then I could type in strawberry. And yep, there we go. You can see that it's going ahead and laying these guys out. And so we got all these guys sort of built in. Let's go ahead and do one more. We'll call this guy chocolate. Okay. So, some examples here would be, let's go ahead and develop. Right, so we're going to give it some context. We need to develop a chocolate ice cream that is better than our competitors. So let's see what chat comes back with here. So it breaks it down. You can see base quality foods, unique twists and signatures and differentiation. It kind of comes up with all that good stuff. And right on. Okay. So you can kind of get the feel here. I'm not going to go too much farther with each of the different flavors, but it gives you an idea of how you can sort of categorize all these different areas inside. Then I'm going to shift gears, and we're going to do another new project, and I'm going to call this chronometer. And it's going to create that project, and I'm going to go ahead and call this guy your daily AI news chronometer. Okay, so that's a chat within that project. Now I'm cheating a little bit because if I go back to this slideshow and just kind of show you guys a little bit of these are items I showed in the last episode. They're actually countdown clocks for each of the shows that I've got going, and I wanted to show you guys something really important. If I escape out of this guy, you can actually, I'm going to ask it to just pull in the code, the HTML code that we had already generated. You pull in the HTML code for the chronometer page as an example. Let's see what it does here. Okay, it's good enough, right? So you'll notice this looks different. This is actually, okay, let's see, can you throw that in Canvas? Let's see if it does this. This could be a doing it live crash and burn in the making. There we go. No, that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so Canvas is kind of in the background. You have two different ways that you can operate in this scenario. You can have Chat GPT write the code straight as you're used to with just as text. But if you do it in the Canvas mode, what's fantastic about this is that it's a very iterative process. So when you tell it to build something, you speak in English, and then it goes ahead and generates the computer code, or in this case, HTML code. And I'm going to show full screen here because I just noticed you can't see what I need to show you. So I'm going to go there. And you can see, you can actually preview what's going to happen, what the code shows. I'm afraid to hit that right now just because I have you guys live. But what I really want to show you is the value here. If you click edit, it automatically splits your screen. So now your chat is on the left-hand side and your code is on the right. And what's awesome about that is if you could say, like I'll say, can you change the color to gold in the web element? Let's see if that does anything here. Okay. So you can see it's actually editing this code real time instead of having to go rewrite it in the chat. And that's a big deal because chats get pretty heavy. As they get longer and longer, they get heavier and heavier. So you can bypass that by here. This is a much better workflow. If you're going to be like taking out, so the normal workflow would be I'd take this code and I would paste that into my web page editor, and then I would test it out. And if it's not working exactly right, which rarely right off the bat does it unless it's super simple, you got to come back and modify it. And you just explain to Chat GPT or whatever AI tool that you're using, what the issue you're encountering, and it'll go ahead and modify the code, and it's kind of trial and error. So you can see it's cranking away and says it swapped cayenne theme for gold, and it's going through there. And then if you want to get back into your normal chat area, you just go ahead and you hit the X here, and it'll pull it away. You can also download this or share it with other folks. Yeah, so that's called a canvas split right there, where your chat's on one side and your canvas is on the other. So I can close this guy out. Now, another thing that's valuable, let me just pull up a slide here. Let's see, is chat handoffs. So you guys may have seen where you're working with a chat, and it maybe this is something that's been running for months or weeks or whatever, and it really starts to bog down and slow down. You might have a lot of images in the chat, that'll slow it down, certainly any videos, that kind of thing. And sometimes the system will actually recommend that you start a new chat. Well, that's kind of what this image is representing here. Because the way to think about that, the way that they recommend that you think about it, is that if you do that, it's basically like handing off a project to a new employee at work. And so, but what you can do that's really neat is that you can tell it to do a summarize handoff. So if I go back over to this guy here, and you wouldn't, based on what I've got in this particular chat, there's not enough information that would make you do this, but this is really cool functionality you can do in here, where you could say, can you summarize a handoff to another chat? And so it's going to think about that. And it says, here's a clean handoff. So these are all the bits and pieces of things that ChatGPT needs if you spin up another chat, a continuation chat, so that you don't have to, like, a lot of times when you do that, if you don't come in with something like this handoff, you feel like you're talking to somebody with amnesia. It's like, man, we just talked about this. Why is that there? So then if I come over to chronometer, I'm going to say, I want to create a new one here. I'm going to call this YDAM chronometer design part 2, or continuation. And then I'm just going to go ahead and paste that right on in, even though it's going to fly off with all kinds of stuff here. I'm going to say, here's my handoff, and boom. Let's go. And so it picks up. Oh, actually, it rewrote another one. Okay. But you get the idea. And that can be really helpful if you're really kind of slogging down. You'll notice a lot of times it'll get so slow that it'll actually lock up, and you have to exit out and come back in. So yeah, pretty cool. Good tips there that I've learned. Let's see. We talked about those. Oh, this is fun too. Collaborating with AI. In the last episode, I found this pretty helpful as a breakdown of how to take your prompts and be really strategic about what resonates with Chat AI, what'll make it respond. And a real easy way to think about it is the who, what, why, how. And that could also include things like when, depending on what you're talking about. So we've got a section here called Prompt This. So anybody in the audience, if you have a prompt that you want us to go ahead and send in, please do so, and we'll run it live. And here's an example of, if you say, draw me up some ice cream. On the left-hand side, you have the child's version of ice cream, which is real colorful and sort of 2D. And then if you had a Michelin restaurant, they're going to give you a 3D, high-polished, house-made Madagascar vanilla. So we're just sticking with the ice cream theme here. And so let's go ahead and do that. Let's play around with some prompts here and see what's up. So So let's do, I'll go back to my ice cream stuff. Let's go into chocolate here, or vanilla. So let's see. We're just going to type in, write a menu, description. Let's see, we got a comment here. ChatGPT Canvas Split and Summarize and Handoff are great tools. Yeah, I agree. Write a menu description for vanilla ice cream. Classic vanilla ice cream, a rich and creamy scoop made with Madagascar vanilla beans, churned to perfection for a smooth, velvety finish. The timeless flavors pairs with everything and shines on its own. And it says, "Do you want me to riff on a funny contrast?" And I said, "Yeah, let's see it written from a 6-year-old's perspective." It's like cold, sweet clouds you can eat. It tastes like birthday cake without the cake, and it makes your tongue happy. Best when you get a big scoop, but 2 is even better. So you kind of get the idea of messing around and changing sort of the context of the different tools there, or rather the prompts. So yeah. What do you got, Rick? You got anything interesting there to throw in as a prompt?
No clue. Though.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's see. Create a graphic of the 2 different, or representing the 2 different descriptions. It's like watching paint dry. It's not as fast as Grok, is it? Does Grok do images?
You asked me if Grok do images. They have the Grok Imagine. It's not even Grok, is it? Grok Imagine? Now they are starting to do it. Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier today.
Boy, that's taking some time. And it says it may take a moment. Oh, the anticipation. Oh, that's not what I had in mind. See, that's a bad prompt. I meant a visual of the actual ice cream. Here we go. Let's see if it gets done here before our show ends. Who knew ice cream could be so complicated? Man, that is surprising. Well, one other thing that I discovered too that surprised me is you can actually have multiple tabs open with ChatGPT. So while this thing is cranking, you could open up another tab or work with your same login on your phone, and it functions basically at the normal speed, even though it's chopping over here. So you can be working on multiple things simultaneously. It looks to me like it's doing more menus. Let's see though, it might actually show some images here once it cranks through. No, I don't think so. This might be that bottleneck you were talking about, Avery. Oh, there we go. Yeah, not bad. And then what you can do, if you click on the share here, you can go ahead and actually you can either share it out or you can download the images, just pulling it down through this guy. All right. Well, I think that puts us into right about the end of our show. Let's see. That's a wrap for episode 20 of Your Daily AI News. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the conversation. If you got any questions or feedback, drop us an email at yourdailyainews@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on alerts so you never miss an episode. You can also visit renegadechronicles.com and you can RSVP to the event so you'll get reminders that the show is coming up in the events section. And we'll have a complimentary blog article available there as well. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all.